What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. On today's video, we're going to be discussing the new world axe weapon talents and which talents are best for what situation. And if you enjoy the video or find it helpful, make sure to hit that like button. Goal for today is 50 likes, so let's see if you guys can crush that. Also, if you're new here, my name's JJ and I do live stream daily, so make sure to hit that subscribe button with notifications on so you don't miss out on future content or live streams. Last thing, I do have links to all of my gaming gear below, so if you're interested in checking that out, they are Amazon affiliate links, so I do get a small kickback if you happen to purchase anything, but it costs you nothing extra. Alright guys, let's go ahead and jump right into the video. So for the axe, you're going to want to go with the strength attribute, which it shows you right here. It scales with strength. And if you hover over the greataxe, it'll tell you the damage here of the light attack, which is 100% slash damage. Heavy is 120 and charged heavy is 160. So that is a good amount of damage for the charged heavy. The other great thing about this is that the attacks, since it is a wide swinging range, you can hit multiple targets just with your light attacks. So you are doing some cleave damage even when you're trying to do single target damage. So ideally for the axe, you'll want to go medium or heavy armor. The only reason you would go light is if you have a healer, if you're doing a dungeon, that way you get the 20% bonus damage, but you are going to be squishier. Alright, so let's start with Reap. Reap extends your axe 5 meters, pulling foes to you and dealing some weapon damage. So this is going to be great for PvP because you can pull the enemies towards you while they're trying to run away. Now, I don't see it really being that beneficial in PvE, so I would stick to this for PvP. Now, you can buff it up, make it a little longer range, so it's 8 meters now, so you can pull people from further away, which once again, great for PvP. And then here you can heal yourself for 30% of the damage done by Reap. That is great for PvP. Now, assuming in PvE you're doing dungeons and things, you're going to have a healer with you, so healing isn't as important, but since you need this for the next one, you might as well get it. So Fatal Attraction, after you pull, do a spin attack dealing some weapon damage. That's great for PvP as well as PvE. Although in PvP, this may be hard to get off because sometimes the animation may take a little long. So if you find yourself having trouble getting this off in PvP, maybe don't pick it. Now let's go to Charge. Charge is a gap closer. It does do some weapon damage, but it could be used to hunt down an enemy as they're trying to run away, or even for you to get away and maybe reset, heal up, wait for cooldowns. Now here, Charge now deals more weapon damage based on how far you've traveled, so this is definitely good for hunting someone down. So here, it allows you to use Execute while you're charging someone, once again based on how far you traveled, so for hunting people down, this is definitely a PvP ability overall rather than PvE. Next ability, Execute. Overhead attack does a lot of damage. This is great, and especially 300% weapon damage on foes under 50% health. Issue is long animation may be hard to get off in PvP, but if you could set it up with a stun or maybe a root while the enemy's sitting still, then it might be easy to get it off. But if you find yourself having trouble getting this off in PvP, maybe try going with a different ability. But it is definitely powerful. You can also use this in PvE for sure because it's a lot of damage and it's easier to get off on mobs. Now here, Execute gains grit during the attack, making it unstoppable, which is good once again for PvP because it is annoying whenever you would try to do this long animation, you get hit and it gets stopped. Now it can't get stopped, so they can only get away from you, roll away from you or whatever. So makes it a little easier to get off. Execute crit hits 100% of the time versus foes under 30%, so once again does even more damage. So this is great, especially in PvE. It's easier to get off in PvE, but if you can do it in PvP, this is huge. So for the passive abilities, you have light attacks with your greataxe, give you 5% damage, so increasing your damage, great for PvP and PvE. Hitting 2+ targets with a single greataxe light attack will give you haste, which allows you to move faster. So this is great for PvP. But PvP, if you have more than 2 targets though, so maybe a group duel, maybe a war, but if you're just dueling one-on-one, this isn't going to benefit you. Don't really need it for PvE. Now over here, when you make a crit hit with the greataxe, heal yourself. This is going to be great for PvP if you're out questing alone, like world PvP, maybe even dueling. But if you're in a dungeon with a healer, or if you're doing a war with a healer, you don't really need heals because that's the healer's job, so you won't need to waste your talent on this. You can focus more on damage. Great axe attacks against foes below 50% penetrate armor, so this is good if you want to do more damage. So PvP or PvE, After when your attacks is blocked, gain 15% damage. This is great for PvP or PvE since everyone's blocking all the time. So crit damage increased by 10%, great for PvE and PvP since doing more damage is great for both situations. So here, foes below 30% health, your crit 15% more often. That's great, once again, PvE or PvP. And greataxe attacks against foes below 30% heal you. So this would be good for PvP if you're questing out by yourself, maybe dueling, but if you have a healer in a dungeon or a war, you don't really need this. Last but not least, the best part, Bloodlust. You move 30% faster and deal 15% more damage when looking at a foe. So really good for PvP to hunt down the people that are trying to get away. Also good for PvE though, because you are doing more damage. So great ability. So overall for Reaper, you can see that it has to do a lot with enemies that have low health. So this would almost be like your secondary weapon that you would swap to once you get the enemies below 50% health. Now Mauler is going to be more AoE damage, which will be great for, let's say, a war in PvP since there's going to be a lot of enemies around you, or a dungeon where you have a healer and a tank that's pulling all the mobs and they're really gathered around, so you can really do that AoE damage. Maelstrom, fast spinning attack that pulls targets closer to you. This could be good for PvP, for people trying to get away. Here it extends the reach of Maelstrom pull range by 50%. So once again, if people are getting further away from you, it'll pull them. Great for PvP. Consumes all projectiles while Maelstrom is active. It's an absorb, so it's good little defensive. Maelstrom does an extra spin attack, pulling in foes and dealing 110% weapon damage. So this is more for like cleave damage. It's not a lot of damage, but it really gets everyone in there. So I guess it could help you in dungeons if you really want to gather up all of the enemies in one spot, but usually the tank's doing that. Whirlwind is a spin attack dealing 50% weapon damage to all nearby foes. If you hit a foe, you spin again. So this is more of a PvE ability. Once again, area. You're doing damage in an area. It's not really great for PvP. I mean, it does low damage, so I wouldn't select this for PvP. But Whirlwind's maximum number of rotations is increased to 7, so you're just going to spin even more. And Whirlwind's movement speed increased, so that's pretty cool. You can move a little faster while you're spinning to hit more targets. But it does do light damage, so I mean, if you use it in a war, you can hit more targets, but you're not going to hit that hard. If you have 3 or more foes around you, you deal 30% more damage. Okay, so it's increasing the damage a little bit. So once again, if you want AoE damage, doing a lot of damage to a lot of people, it does low damage, but it'd be good for that. I would maybe use it for PvE, not PvP. So Gravity Well is good for PvP because you throw an axe and create a vortex, it pulls people to the center. So this will really make people have to sit in here so you can close the gap on them. It also is good because you can throw it at a distance, 10 meters. So while someone's running away, you can put this on them, they get slowed, you can catch up. Doesn't do a lot of damage, so you're not really using it for the damage, but you're using it for the utility and stopping enemies from getting away. Here increases the burst damage by a little bit, and allies gain 10% fortify-wise, so it's a bit of a defensive as well. It reduces damage in there while you're sitting in there, so that's great for the team. So this is definitely a PvP ability. Now let's go over some of the passives. Mauler's Resolve. If you get hit while holding a greataxe below 50% health, you gain 40 stamina. Now this would be great if you want to be more mobile. You'll get 40 stamina, you can do another roll, you can get away easier. Heavy attacks with a greataxe pull foes closer to you. That is great for PvP. PvE, you don't really need that. This adds grit to greataxe heavy attacks and grants a 20% damage. So this is good. Grit is an added stagger resistant that stops attacks from being interrupted. So this could be good for PvP and PvE because sometimes the mobs are interrupting you. So this could be for both. After you cause a pull, your foe is held for 30%. So this is great for PvP. You definitely want this CC in PvP. Maybe you can mix this up, land it with, you know, a good execute or something. So PvP, not really for PvE. While holding a greataxe, gain 10% damage when 3 or more foes are within 4 meters. So 3 or more foes, you're looking at PvE or like a war or maybe a group duel. Well, even a group duel, the healer's going to be in back. As long as there's 3 or more foes around you, this will be good. So I would say more of a war or a dungeon, or maybe even questing out on your own if you're planning on pulling big groups. When you block with an attack, you gain more damage. More damage is great for PvP, great for PvE. So people are blocking, so I would use this for both. Unless you're dueling like a mage or someone, maybe not. But for the most part, I would pick it up for PvP or PvE. So while holding a great axe, gain 10% damage absorption when 3 or more foes are within. So this right here would be for if you're questing alone, you're trying to grab big mobs and you want to be a little more tankier, that'd be great. But if you have a healer in a dungeon, you don't really need this. PvP, you probably don't really need this. You have healers, so this I would say for questing on your own, maybe if you want to be a little more tanky and independent. Mauler's Fury, the last passive here. Great Axe attacks increase damage by 3% for 3 seconds, and it stacks 10 times. So that's 30% damage increase for 3 seconds. That is a lot. So that's really good, especially since Mauler is more of an AoE. All your AoE abilities are going to be doing a lot more damage. So good for wars, good for dungeons. So this is really good for that extra damage for the cleave. Both PvP, I guess, and PvE. So to sum it up, the passives in this really help your AoE damage. Can make you a little tankier. Everything helps you with more foes, which is great for, let's say, questing, pulling a lot of mobs, dungeons, or even wars. Alright guys, so here's my current build that I am running with while questing alone. Now I quest with PvP on, so the logic behind my build is I'm going to be running into people fighting, so I don't have a healer with me at all times. That's why I'm running some of these healing talents here. And gravity, I'm really using gravity just for the vortex, pulling the foes in there. Like here it's going to increase the damage, but I'm not doing it for damage, so I don't really care about the damage it's doing. It's more of a utility ability for me. I definitely want to make my way to Bloodlust and then keep increasing my damage. Well guys, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe so you don't miss any future content like this or our live streams. Share it with a friend that might find it beneficial. And as always guys, see you in the next one. Thanks.